Going to go ahead and let everyone know that I'm teaching tonight. If you would like to exit at this moment, you have an exit to the left and to the right. Since I've already had two that's threatened. Yes, sure. What makes y'all feel any better? Like, literally, I decided like an hour ago to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize now because I don't know how put together this will be. This is a lesson that I did with the youth, so it was geared towards youth. I'm going to attempt to try to make it not so geared to youth, but I'm not sure I can do that. Such short notice. So yes, just pretend. Yes, just feel like you're go back to your teenage years, please. No homework. Graydon and I have just been crazy busy, and then I ended up having to work today, and I've barely been home. And like I said, we're just doing the best we can, trying to take care of ourselves and everybody else at the moment. So that being said, remember Gail. I know she's really missing being here. She has her Friday for her surgery on Monday. She's going to have her hip replacement, and hopefully she can get all good and better and get back here. But we've been trying to do for her and check in on her and take care of her, and remember the family. To say that, yes, I'm only calling that. So, but I believe his visitation Friday, his funeral Saturday. Is that correct? But it's in Woodbury. But I know they are still heartbroken. Does anybody else have any prayer requests? Oh no. Yes. And we know how that goes. We've been there many, many times. That's right. Yes, and I haven't been there, but yes. And speaking of people that's been in the bed, please remember Kerry Washer too. Is he? Oh, I did not know that. No. Well, she did tell me. Okay, so I think she posted it on the thing, but she did tell me she thought that she passed her kidney stone yesterday. So that's one good thing. But she just said she's done nothing but sleep for the last 3 days. She said her whole body is sore. She's just hurting really bad. And then she just said, sounds like maybe John's sick now. So remember them. They've had a rough go about it lately. Just so much sickness and different things. So remember her. She's one of my dearest friends. Anybody else have anything? Phaedra? Oh no. I hear that if you roll people, that you might get sick afterwards from being out in the air. That damp air, yeah, it does it. And now, don't you wish you had all that toilet paper to like wipe that nose? Yes. Do y'all know when that's actually going to like start? Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. We can do that, but I would hate for it to have to come to that. But if it does, we got you. Okay. Yeah. Well, just have to pray for guidance that He will lead you to do, the easiest and the best thing that will work out for you guys. Hmm. Good. Until she comes out from Josh, right? she says, Josh, get some rod. Does anybody have anything else? there's been some viral thing going around. It always turns into pneumonia, and it's been seeing a ton of that. Um, but yeah, they're tiny babies. So, oh, okay. I know, for sure. That's what I was thinking. You know, they were in the NICU for so long. Even their age, I bet they're still really small for their age too. That's it. Anybody have anything else? Yeah. And remember Andre too. Uh, check on her. On her, I'm sure a lot of you do periodically. And I know she told me the other day. Does she? What did she? Yeah, she does. And I was thinking she said, I don't know. I can't remember now. It'll take me forever to find it. But either way, I know that she's just always got such a positive attitude no matter what. And she really thinks that God's going to use all this for His glory. And I believe that too. So just remember her. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Is there? Yes, ma'am. You're kidding me. Well, call me when you're ready to walk. We'll have a good talk. we can we can we can let it all go. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So Emily, is Emily with y'all this week? Okay. I didn't remember. I didn't see her over there when I. Oh well, y'all got there after I came over here. That's why. I did, but at the time I couldn't remember his first name because I told him I call him Moose. I couldn't remember his name, his actual name. But yes, yes, funeral Saturday. Yes, just mm, he was a good man. I didn't know him super well either, but he worked almost every Emmaus walk that I was ever on. Sometimes he was over the kitchen, and he was just like this big teddy bear who would just hug everybody and be the first one to pray for you. And that's right, he did not. And and I know Christian said that he is with his new job that his boss lives down there, and Christian had said something about I may have to take off for depending on when the funeral is, and he mentioned what happened, and he said I had no idea it was somebody you knew. Like that's all over the news down here. They said it's happened 2 times now with him and one other person. So just and that whole situation and with the flooding and the hurricanes and all the people that are displaced and the people that are still missing, and it's just it's terrible. So remember all that as well, and for the people going up there to try to rescue, because obviously it's still a very dangerous place to be. Is there anybody that would like to lead us in prayer? All right, Graydon, you're it. Amen. All right. Again, I'm going to apologize because, like I said, this lesson was technically written for teens, and Graydon has a series he's going to do starting next week, and he hated to start it and then stop it and start it again. And so I just said I'll throw it together. We got this. No worries. Um, but the title of this is called The Power of Words, and I want to add in there like also the power of thoughts, um, positive, negative, whatever it might be. When I did this with the youth, I actually had them write something down and stick it to this board. And but I'm just going to ask you guys. So, is there anything, and you guys can share if you're willing. I know you may not want to. Teenagers didn't really want to, which is why I had them write it down because they're weird. But you guys are not, so y'all might want to share. But is there anything that anybody has ever said to you negatively that just stuck with you that, and like I said, you can share it if you want to. If you don't, it's fine. Mhm. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? I get it if you don't want to, because, I mean, they're usually, things that stick with you are usually hurtful things. um, I know, right? Thought somebody else would do it. Teresa looks like she's thinking about it. Hmm. Right. Definitely, y'all. I'm so sorry. Hmm. Definitely. Right. Yeah. 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 That too. That too. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Right. Comparatively speaking, you felt that way. Oh gosh. Hmm. Oh yeah. Hmm. Yes. And guys, I wish I had them. I gave them to Christian. I would love to read off to you guys the things that these kids said. They were pitiful. I mean, I bawled when I read them, and that's when I brought them to him Sunday. I was like, you got to read these because I mean, your kids are dealing with a lot over here. I mean, you're going to be a failure. Um, you're there was probably 10 to 12 fat or ugly or you're the reason this bad thing happened, or one of them said that something about you're going to turn out just like your dad, and I don't know who that was or their dad's situation, but obviously that was a negative, thing for them. And there was just so many heartbreaking ones, and it just broke my heart. Um, but what I had them do was they took a tack and I wanted to do nails, but I didn't have time because there's like 40 of them. So we did tacks instead. So they tacked it to like this board. And at the end, we just discussed that when you say those words, you can't, kind of like the whole toothpaste thing, you know, when you squirt them out, you can't put them back in, you can't take them back, and they do affect you. And even if you say you're sorry and you take them away, and I took them all down, all the holes were still there. And so, you know, you can't, you know, you still have those holes, you still have those scars. They don't ever really go away. You can try. And even sometimes when things that people have said to me, I think I'm doing good and I think I'm completely over it, and then one day just something will be said or happen and it reminds you, and it's kind of like a triggering thing, and you're like, you know, and they had that whole saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but, you know, names will never hurt me. But I promise you, words hurt way worse, in my opinion, than anything else, because physical things do heal, and don't get me wrong, those are bad. But like I said, those words, not only do they stick with you, but they can change your whole mindset of how you feel about yourself, or even how you feel about others. It's not always about things that are said to you. I mean, I know I've been guilty of it. You listen to gossip about somebody that you may have really liked before and had no problems with, and all of a sudden you think bad of them because someone come to you and said this happened or that happened, and you know, and it may be true and it may not be true, but either way, those words alter your feelings towards that person. And so they're just so impactful. And somewhere here, I'm not sure I said in there how many times, oh, right here, I had put on here that, of course, Proverbs 18:21, life and death are in the power of the tongue. And I told the kids that's the verse I wanted them to remember. But I said in the Bible, the mention of your words or your thoughts being powerful, or the act, you know, things that the tongue and your thoughts and all that's mentioned over 120 times in the Bible. So I said, obviously, he felt like that was a pretty important thing for us to take note of. And, you know, obviously God wants us to understand how important it is, because there's so many warnings about our words, about our thoughts, but we still just throw them around like they literally have no power. Yes?
When I was trying to think,
Woo!
wow,
Wow.
hot mic. When I was trying to think of things people had said bad, honestly, the things, it goes with what you're reading, but I know it's a little bit of a curveball, so you have to forgive me.
I'm used to it. I married
you. I know. A lot of the things that stung me the most weren't the things, the hateful, mean things people said to me. It was the times when people that I stood up for and I defended and I was there for years, and they knew what was going on and they refused to speak up for me. Mm-hmm. You know, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So, you know, a lot of it's negative and we have to be mindful, but also when we choose not to encourage somebody, we choose not to stand up for somebody, sometimes that hurts worse than the hateful things that were flung by some enemy somewhere, you know.
Very true. Yep. So the lack of words can also hurt. One of the things I mentioned to the kids, for me, which I've had a lot of worse things probably said, but I just use this as an example because it happened to me when I was younger. I had went to a youth conference when I was a teen, and it was a really good youth conference. I mean, amazing spirit just of worship and everything, and I was at the altar just crying and praying and all that. And, you know, when I walked away, you've ever been in one of those services, you walk away feeling just so light and just feel like you could just be in that moment forever, and God just touched me, and it was just, you know, I was on top of the world. And then all of us teens get back together, and this guy, which was known to be a bully, y'all. I mean, I should have not listened to anything he said because he was just this mean kid who said stuff to everybody. So, I mean, you know, I really probably shouldn't have paid that much attention to it because he literally just had to be mean to everyone. That was just who he was, unfortunately. But he made fun of me so bad about the way that I looked when I was worshiping, how stupid I looked, and he just was terrible to me. And what's crazy is, like I told the kids, I said, I won't tell y'all, but I'm, you know, middle-aged now. Older, not a teen anymore. Okay, I'm 45 years old. It's so sad. But I said, here I am, a 45-year-old woman who, when someone made fun of her when she was a teenager, and I still sometimes will be in the middle of a worship service and, like, you know, start to feel emotional or something, and those words will come up, like, oh my God, I probably look so dumb. I don't want anybody to look at me, like, and like, you know, like, turn it off. And I said, that's sad. I said, because years of something that kid probably never even gave a second thought to because he was just trying to be mean, you know, because that's just who he was. He was just mean. And like I said, and I've had way worse said to me, but that was just a small thing that I had to give them an example of, just because worship and to, in my life, letting go and worship and things like that is such a big deal and such an important part of my life. And it makes me sad. I think about it a lot right now because I see that in my own kids, and not just them, but other kids too, who I know they love God and I know things, but then, and when you get just the kids together, like at Winterfest or over there, and it's just them, they're all worshiping and doing everything, but then you get them over here, and or if they're around there. I think our core group is okay, but like if they bring a friend with them, you know, somebody that's not with them all the time or something like that, it's like all of a sudden they're not worshiping like they might have before. You know, they're afraid of how they're going to look. They don't want anybody to say anything to them, and you know, it just makes me so sad just how we let what other people may think about us keep us from doing things. Like I cannot, Ella will not sing. I know some of y'all probably heard her sing before when she was little, and she sings harmony, and that's like such a big thing most people can't do, and she just hears it, and she has a beautiful voice, and I have begged her to come up here and just like, I said, you don't have to sing a solo, just, you know, sing harmony in the background, but like, you know, she's like, no, Mom, like, I'm not going to let people see me, and people watch that on TV, and she's like, and then you don't know, she goes, our friends just, they stalk Facebook just so they can find things that you did or funny pictures, and then they save them and they send them to everybody, and I'm just like, that is so sad, but that's what they think, and I'm just, so I guess that's what made me think of that particular time for me. But like I said, still sticks with me at times. I mean, there's plenty of times I don't think about it, but like I said, every now and then you will just have that triggering thought. But so one of the things I had, if you'll pull up that image that you got, and I'm sure y'all have seen this before, but it says, you know, I put on there that sometimes you might not remember the words that somebody said, but you'll always remember how those words made you feel, whether that be good or bad. And so this, I'm sure you guys have seen this before, but this is one thing that I always I remind my kids of this, and I have to remind myself of this multiple times. You know, think before you speak, you know, and then here's the acronym. Is it true? If you're not sure if it's true or not, then you probably shouldn't say it. Even if it is true, it may still not need to be told, but I mean, regardless, if you don't know, it definitely doesn't need to be told. Keep going. Is it helpful? Is it going to help you? You need to tell anybody the thing you're going to tell them, or are you just telling them to be telling? Is it inspiring? Are the words you're using going to lift somebody up? And because if not, probably don't need to say it. Here's the big one. Is it necessary? Because I can send that to you, Casey, if you want. I got it. Yeah, is it necessary? Because if it's not necessary for those people to know, then why say it? I'm sending it to you right now because I'm forgetful. And then the last one, is it kind? And again, this probably might have hit home with the youth a little bit more than it was you guys, but I use this for myself many times. I'll catch myself starting to say something. You hear a good, juicy piece of gossip, and you start to say it, and I'm like, wait a minute. And not saying I always. I mess up. There's times I mess up and still say stuff that I shouldn't say. But I do try to remember this often. But with this, when I said, you know, they don't remember what you say, but they remember how it makes you feel, that also goes with kind words. Is it kind? Has anybody ever said anything to you that was positive that really stuck with you, made an impact or anything like that? And you're welcome to share that too if you want. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Resourceful or yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Even if it's little things, like even if it's not some huge impactful thing, I don't know, I know we talked about this with the kids, but it can be something as easy as somebody coming in and saying, oh my gosh, you look so pretty today. I mean, that can, you know, just a kind word from somebody can change your whole day. You know, and so I always try to tell my kids, make sure you compliment somebody. You never know what they're going through or what that compliment might, you know, mean to them. Yes, yes, yes. And especially, which I know a lot of people don't like talking to strangers, but it's especially, you know, cool when it comes from somebody you don't even know. Even it can be the smallest thing. Like I remember at Dollywood not too long ago, one of the kids stopped Ella, and I don't remember if it was her hair or something. But anyway, some girl stopped her and was like, oh my gosh, I love whatever this was. And, and her hoe was like, and it was just so, because you expect people like if I tell her she's beautiful, she's like, well, you have to say that, Mom. You're my mom. A stranger does not have to stop you and tell you how beautiful you are, or this or that. So, and that stranger didn't have to, was the cool thing. I mean, she could have thought it and just moved on, but she, I thought it was neat that she said that. But, I mean, it's so important for us to share with people the good things that we see in them and about them. And because, like I said, words stick. Like I said, just like I talked about, when they stick, whether they're good or they're bad. Does anybody have any thoughts? I don't want to just keep going. Does anybody have anything they want to add, take away from this? Mm-hmm. 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 Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. And I'd probably venture to say, even if you don't want to share it, that everybody's had something bad said to them that still sticks with them, and probably something good that was said to them that sticks with them, that they still, that meant so much to them. Like I said, even if you don't want to share it, it would be hard for me to believe that all of us didn't at least have a time where that happened. Yes. Did you have something, Chris? Mm-hmm. Still emotional. I tell people all the time, if you've never been to Emmaus, I won't give anything away, but one of the best things about Emmaus is the love that you feel. Just, and like you said, the people showing up and words that are said, they mean a lot. They really do. One of the things that, well, go ahead and show that video real quick since we're talking about the power of words. Let's watch this video.
Japanese researcher and healer Dr. Masaru Emoto proved how human thoughts, words, and intent. Japanese researcher and healer Dr. Masaru Emoto proved how human thoughts, words, and intentions can alter your reality through his famous rice and water experiments. The results are astounding. Dr. Emoto labeled 3 beakers of cooked rice with water as follows. Beaker number 1 was labeled with the words, "Thank you." Beaker number 2 was labeled, "You idiot." And finally, beaker number 3 was ignored. Every day for a month, Emoto spoke the words on the label to the rice. After 30 days, beaker number 1, which was labeled, "Thank you," began to ferment, giving off a pleasant aroma. Beaker number 2, which was labeled, "You idiot," turned black. And lastly, beaker number 3, the ignored rice, began to rot, turning green. Many others around the world have repeated this experiment using different words, such as "I love you" and "I hate you." The results are shocking. The rice with negative words spoken to it always rots. IKEA UAE also conducted a similar experiment with plants. IKEA had school children speak with 2 identical plants for 30 days. One plant was spoken to with positive words and the other with negative words. Both the plants were kept in identical conditions. However, after 30 days, the results were astonishing. The plant which was showered with positive words thrived, and the plant which was spoken negatively to wilted and had drooping leaves. To watch the full IKEA UAE plant experiment, see the link in our description box. Both Dr. Emoto's and IKEA's experiments demonstrate that all words hold a vibration. These studies conclude that thoughts, feelings, and words affect the molecular structure of water, given water was used in the rice experiment and also the plant experiment, since plants are made up of up to 95% water. With the human body also being made of 70% water, these experiments demonstrate the power of thoughts, feelings, and words in creating our physical realities. So, have you been paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and words?
I know those were the scientific, terms that they used, but, like I said, the Bible, God's Word told us that there is power and life and death, power in the tongue, power in your thoughts. There's, I'm going out of order here because, like I said, this was made for them. But where's it at? There's the verse that says, "Fix your thoughts on what's true, what's honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about those things that are excellent and worthy of praise." That's Philippians 4:8. So, and there's so many, like I said, 120 something words. But one of the things, I gotta go back. I'm so sorry. But anyway, just think if the words that people say can do that to rice and plants and things like that, can you imagine the power that words have over us? And let me ask you this. The kids knew this. How did God create the world, the earth, the world? He spoke it into existence. That's right. He used words. So I said, what if I told you that every word that you speak also helps create your own world around you? So I said, this may seem out of place, but something that I wanted to mention that a lot of people may not realize, but you guys probably do. But the witchcraft is very real, guys. There's tons of things in the Bible about that too, and it's real. And it's mentioned in the Bible. But whenever I call a witch or whatever, but whenever they're casting a spell or an incantation, what are they using? Words. And they do that with words, and because even they know the power of words, I feel like they sometimes know the power of words more than God's own children, who He's told about many, many times in His Word. One story that I read, if I can remember it completely right, was about a missionary somewhere, and he ran into a sorcerer. And the sorcerer had tried to bribe him because he'd saw this man doing things, great power, and he didn't realize this power basically comes from God. So he goes to him wanting to buy this power. He's like, I want to buy it. He got really angry at the missionary when he told him, he said, I can't give you that. These powers come from God. I have nothing to give you. There's nothing I can give you. So the guy got really angry at him and was saying all this stuff. And so the missionary got upset, and he just said, well, may you just die with that money that you thought you could buy God's gifts with. And when he did that, the sorcerer was terrified. Said he cried and begged the man to take his words back because he didn't want those things to happen to him, because he knew the power of those words. And I'm not saying that'll happen, but I'm saying the sorcerer, the magician or whatever he was, understood the power of words more than even the missionary did. And so there are so many stories in the Bible where words were used. I think about curses and blessings. I mean, all those were words, honestly. I think about the whole story with Isaac and Jacob and Esau. He goes and he steals that blessing, but that blessing was just words. And then, Esau's like, do you not have anything else for me? But he'd already gave that. I mean, it was words. They believed in the power of the words, the things that they said, and the curses too. There's so many times in there where people were cursing, and like I said, they believed in that power of words. This is one of I talked a lot about the words that we say to other people and the words that they say to us. Now I'm going to say something else. And like I said, this story was used for the teens, but hopefully it'll work for you too. But there was a girl, her boyfriend left her, and she was obviously devastated. So she went to a friend to talk to them because she was just so sad. And she's telling her about what happened, and this friend had the audacity to say, well, I can see why he did it. You can be pretty annoying sometimes, and you really tend to get on people's nerves, and you actually aren't very pretty because there's lots of girls that are prettier than you, so can you really blame them? And I said, would you call that person a friend if they said that to you? Not a good one. Well, I tell them, what if I told you that it wasn't a friend, but it was that girl saying that about herself? So a lot of times it's the words and the thoughts we have about ourselves. We think that we're ugly. We think that we deserve the bad things that happen to us. We think that we I mean, like I think, or I am, and I think a lot of people are their own worst critic. They think about all the things they've ever done bad, and the things that people have said to them, and they feel like they aren't good enough, and they aren't smart, they aren't pretty. Like I said, the words that I hear from the youth: I'm fat, I don't have any friends, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, I'm stupid. That was one a lot of people had written, that people had said they were stupid, and it was just really pitiful. But so it's not only our words, but our thoughts also have a huge effect on ourselves. What if I told you that everything that you said or thought would come true? Would that change the way you speak and change the way you think? Just me? All right, I'm going to stop right there for a minute, and I'm just going to ask anybody have any thoughts or anything they want to add into this. Anybody?
I thought about another scripture that I've never thought of this way, so I probably shouldn't use the microphone because it's going to be recorded. But so the Bible says God speaks of things that aren't as if they are. And if we're supposed to be living like you could see this a few different ways. You could say, if we're supposed to be Christ-like, God-like, to the best of our ability, then we should be speaking the things that we're trying to accomplish and that we feel like God's called us to, or what we're trying to do, instead of constantly speaking about the things that are coming against us as if it's already done. Or you could also, like we've already said, he spoke the world into existence. We could also say that God understands more than anybody how powerful words and thoughts are. And so he speaks things, and God can see it through like we can't, but he speaks as things ought to be and as things will be, not as things are right now and difficult. And there might be more to that than I ever really, kind of thought of. I mean, that's all it kept running through my head, is thinking about, that's the way God talks. We're going through all this here, but he doesn't speak about, all the trouble that's coming against us. He speaks about the victory that's around the corner, and he knows he's going to be able to see us through, and he speaks of the good that he sees inside of us. My goodness, he let us in the house when we had no business being a part of, his family anymore. And, he always speaks that way. And we rarely can say that we always speak that way, even on a given day, much less a week or a month or a year.
And one thing I do want to add that made me think about that, one of the things that I think is popular right now, or I say popular, but I see on social media and stuff, is something called manifesting. I am not talking about manifesting, y'all. That's where people are saying that if you say stuff over and over and over and believe it hard enough, that you can make it happen. Yes, I want $8 billion, and I'm just going to keep saying it. That is definitely, yes, that is definitely not what we're saying here, for sure. Because we also, the Bible talks about if you pray things in his will, and, it's like not everything is meant for us. And even some of the things that may feel like it would be good for us, he knows won't be good for us. So this is definitely not one of those things where I'm saying, believe it, it's going to happen. That's not it. That being said, though, like I said, there is power in our thoughts, and how they make us feel, and how we are going to react to situations, which reminds me of his sermon a while back, and y'all probably all hear, but if you weren't, where he talked about, let me find it because I don't want to say it, where he said if he was holding a cup of coffee and someone came along and bumped into him and it shook his arm and it made him spill the coffee, why did you spill the coffee? And most people would say, well, I spilled it because somebody bumped into me. But what he was saying is, the reason he spilled the coffee is because coffee was in his cup. Whatever's in your cup, life is going to shake you. Life is going to be hard. Things are going to come. People are going to say things that hurt. Things are going to happen, and they're going to shake you. But what comes out is what you're filled with. And are you filled with gratitude? Are you filled with, positive thoughts and happiness? Is that what you're filled with? Because if you are, that's what's going to spill out when things get hard. But if you're filled with negative and all that, that's what's going to spill out. And when he preached that, one of my teams, that this kid talks to me a lot about things because he does not have parents who are there for him. So it really impacted him. And so I wanted to mention that again because I thought, you know, if you can get the teens' attention, then it's probably pretty good. Teens don't remember a whole lot. And it really stuck with him. But going to those negative, thinking about those negative thoughts, have y'all ever been around somebody who's just negative all the time? Yes. She said it's draining. Yes, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. And if you watched the movie that we went and watched the other day, what was it? What's the movie called again? Forged, yes. It says, I want to be a fountain, not a drain. And I thought about that. I didn't have that saying when I taught this a couple weeks ago, but I thought about it after the fact. She said exactly what I had in my notes because they are. It's draining. And y'all, I have been that person. I told the kids this story, and I'll just be flat out honest. After we lost our son, I was going through major depression, and it wasn't too long. I mean, had a lot of things happen at the same time. Like I had an uncle who committed suicide. We lost her. I mean, just so many things that happened like at one time, and I was just down. And it wasn't too long after that, and I won't go into the story because I don't want it all over the place, but we had a lot of hurtful things happen to us at our church by people who we thought were our best friends. And I was just broken, guys. I was broken, and I was so negative, and I thought that I was protecting myself because I thought this was my mindset at the time. Not saying it was right. I'm just being honest with y'all. I had this mindset of I'm going to quit thinking anything good is going to happen. I'm going to quit believing that people are good people because I'm just going to be let down. And I don't want to be let down anymore. And so I had just turned into this very, very, very negative person who was just sad all the time. And, it was bad. And around that time, I had some friends that just kind of stopped talking to me. At the time, I didn't know why, but but at that time, I was so hurt because I was like, here I am going through some of the hardest times of my life, and my friends don't want to be with me. They've just quit talking to me, and I don't know why. And I found out after the fact, another one of my friends told me, well, they said you didn't do anything to them. They just said you were so negative all the time, they just couldn't stand it anymore. That you were bringing them down, they were feeling drained, they were having a hard time being around you. And that hurts so bad to hear, but like what she said earlier, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because I needed to hear it. Because I had to realize that I wasn't protecting myself. All I was doing was just living in this negative bubble, and I wasn't letting anything good happen to me. And even if it was good, I was finding a way to probably turn it into a negative because I was just so, like I said, I was just so broken that, probably not a good excuse, but it's just true. I was just so broken, and I had dug myself a little hole and decided to have myself a pity party there and just dwell on all those bad things. And so I couldn't even blame anybody for feeling that way. But I realized nothing good was coming for me sitting in that negative, because all it was doing was running people off. And my negative words, I was a drain. I was not a fountain. But on the flip side of that, have you ever been around somebody who's just positive all the time, who's happy, has that joy of the Lord? How do they make you feel? Somebody tell me how that makes you feel to be around that person. It can be, yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. And for me, it makes me want to be happier too, more like them, and it like you said, puts me in a good mood. That's the people that if I had to choose to be around somebody, if I'm going somewhere and we're going to be in a vehicle or something, who am I going to sit with? I'm going to go find a happy person who's going to, we're going to laugh and have fun. And that doesn't mean, guys, especially with your friends, you need friends to vent with and talk to and cry with. I mean, I'm not telling you to never talk about any of those bad things. There are times where you need to get it out, and that's okay. But like I said, just being that negative person all the time, you become that drain, not only for the people around you, but for yourself. And the reason I did this lesson, y'all, is because I needed to hear it. This whole lesson was for me, and I found a Bible devotion on the Bible app that was about the power of words. And after reading that, it really just got me thinking about my own life. And y'all, I still mess up all the time because if you deal with any kind of depression or anxiety at all, I mean, it sneaks up on you sometimes, and I get that, but I am really trying, and I'm being just flat out transparent with you. This was for me, so I'm still working on this, and I probably will always be working on it, but I'm working on it. But the positive people make me want to be a better person. They make me want to, it makes me realize that I want to do better for myself, and I want to be that person that when they're around me, they want to become better, and they want to do better, and that they are going to leave me feeling uplifted and feeling better as a person instead of opposite. And like I said, I'm still working on it. So if you're one of those people that I'm negative with, I'm so sorry. I'm trying. Trying. Does anybody have anything to add to that? Go ahead, girl. I love it when people talk. Right. Yes. Yep. Yep. Well, our science experiments even showed us that, right? Even if you just use science and nothing else. I mean, I'm that person at my house. My, somewhat. We still laugh about the time that we went on a family trip in Florida, and there was 24 of us in a house or something. It was a lot of people, and somebody got the stomach virus, and it was bad. Well, I say it was bad. I didn't get the stomach virus because we just went ahead and said, you know what? We are not getting this. And people would be like, there's no way, and be like, oh, don't speak that to me. I am not getting this virus. Like, y'all are crazy. Like, y'all can go on in your little corner and be sick. I am not getting sick. And we were the only vehicle of all the people there that didn't get sick. There was 4 of us, right? And I still laugh to this day. I'm like, all you negative people were puking all over the golf course and everything. But here I was living my best life on the beach because I wasn't having it. But we still laugh about that. But it was a trip, wasn't it? It's one for the books. It was great for us. It was rough for everybody. But I will end this on, and this is what I told the kids. Finally, if you think that our words and our thoughts have so much power, think about how much power can be behind your prayers, because your prayers are basically just your words and your thoughts, whether you speak them out loud or whether you're talking to God in your head. So speak life. Believe for good things for your life. And but no, and I told them this too, no, he's not a genie in a bottle. I don't mean, like I said, the whole manifestation thing. It's not, we're not doing the whole name it, claim it type things, because what you should be claiming is what you know God wants for you, what's best for your life, and even if that's not exactly what you might want. You want to just pray for his will, and he doesn't need to be treated like a genie in a bottle. And just because we speak it doesn't mean it's going to happen, because like I said, he can see the big picture and we can't. We can't control. We also can't control what others do. You may do everything in your power right, but that doesn't mean that the person you're dealing with is going to. And because we have free will, that means that things may not always work out the way that we want them to or think they should, because we're not robots that are just going to automatically do what, we may do everything right, like I said, but somebody else may not. So we can't control how others respond, but we can control us, and we can control, like I said, the whole cup thing. If we're shaking, what's going to come out of us? That's what we can control. We can control how we respond and how we react. So, like I said, for them, I took the papers out, let them see the holes, and just reminded them that your words and your thoughts, they really do have an impact. They leave a lasting impression. And so, again, this was not a name it, claim it lesson. It was just a lesson for me, because like I said, just trying to remain positive, because the world's a scary place right now. I know it is. It's really easy to get caught up in all the scariness and the negative, but try to remain positive. Try to not only remain positive for yourself, but speaking that life into others as well. But that's all I have. So if anybody has anything else to add before we go. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. Yes. Yep. Which is a good. Yes. When he tells us the enemy came to steal, kill, and destroy, and that's one of the biggest things that he does is speak lies into us. So, because, like I said, we believe those lies, and then we let those lies dictate who we are and how we act and all of that. And actually, one of the things I gave the kids, and I wish that I had, and I might still can. If anybody wants one, I can probably print it out from the back. Actually, I do have it. But I told them, I gave them all a journal and a pen, and I had this paper that I said I don't care to give to y'all. It also has a bunch of other verses about our thoughts and stuff. But I told them, I don't know if any of them have done it or not, but I told them every day to write this. And number one was, what's one positive thing you did or you said that day? Try to keep yourself accountable. Number two, did you say anything negative about yourself or somebody else? If so, write it down and also ask for forgiveness. Number three, what's something or someone that you're thankful for? Number four was name one positive thing about yourself, something that God would say about you or something that good that you could find in yourself. And number five, like you were saying, find a prayer or a scripture to go with that. And I don't know if any of them did that, but I thought if it's something you did every single day, really, really thought about what you said that day or how you're, it would, just like anything, you give it that much thought and attention, it's something you're going to start noticing instead of it just being your normal everyday. But if anybody does want that, like I said, it's not a big deal, but I can print it for you. So it's got, and I also added like probably 20 scriptures. And at the end, I put, when you take control of your words, you take control of your life. As long as your words are in line with the word of God, Satan can't touch you. So as you practice, don't be discouraged. If you miss it now and then, just repent, get back on track. So, anything else? Well, thank y'all for dealing with me. I'd like to say that I finished 4 minutes early. You're welcome. I'm just like, 4 minutes. All right. 4 minutes, it does. It does. I'm speaking the positive. 4 minutes could make such a difference. I love you, Jean. All right. Does anybody want to pray us out? Thank you, Miss Linda.